Welcome to this very special evening in the lives of 432 members of the Bloomington Jefferson class of 1990. This formal ceremony signifies a passage into a new phase of our lives. Certainly, this is a time for us to appreciate the importance of this moment, just as it is time to remember and give thanks to the Jefferson faculty, to our parents, and to other special persons who have helped bring us to this point. Given some of the events of this year, we are especially honored to have as participants in tonight's commencement ceremony 98% of the Jefferson faculty. It means a great deal to us as students to have you here as a part of our graduation. On behalf of the class of 1990, I wish to specifically thank and recognize you, our faculty, for being here with us tonight. Classmates, let's applaud for our faculty. Please, join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the Star-Spangled Banner and for the posting of the Stars and Stripes by the Colonial Color Guard. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight is an ending of a friendship, togetherness, and a unity that began 3 years ago. But most importantly, it is a new beginning in our lives. At Thomas Jefferson, we have grown, matured, and strengthened ourselves physically and mentally for what lies ahead. Much has happened in our high school years. There have been hundreds of tests, games, competitions, concerts, and events we have watched and participated in. Some will say it is a joy to leave because they are eager to move on and are ready for new challenges and opportunities. Others will say it has gone too fast. I think all of us understand both feelings. We will miss our days at Jefferson. Tonight is the last time we will be together until our union. The class of 1990 is graduating. As we graduate, we will carry on personal philosophies and feelings to other places. Jefferson has had an influence that has affected and prepared us. We have achieved great success, and in our own ways, we will remember them for the rest of our lives. Booker T. Washington once said, "Success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life, but by the obstacles which have been overcome while trying to succeed." We have encountered obstacles in and out of school. We have handled and learned from them. And with a helpful hand or a gentle push, we have made it. As we celebrate together tonight, I would like us to remember those who have cared for us and given us that hand or push with encouragement and motivation. We have had daily contact with teachers, teachers, coaches, music and drama directors who have answered questions, helped us figure out solutions, and for some became friends. A sincere thanks for listening and caring. Thanks for your patience. Most of all, thanks for teaching us skills that we will use for the rest of our lives. Knowledge is power, and you have permitted us to learn and create a power of our own. Advisors, administrators, and counselors, thanks for your guidance and direction. We appreciate your efforts. Most of all, thanks to our parents. In the words of William Ross Wallace, I quote, "The hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world." They have also been our teachers and advisors. They have given us the gift and responsibility of life and watched out and worried for us. Through it all, they have been our friends, critics, and role models. Thanks for your love and leadership. And now, our friends. Sometimes it seems as though you are the only ones who understand. Thanks for being there through all the good and bad times. I ask that you join me now in a moment of silence as we recollect everything that has been important and special to us, all the people and events that make up our final memory of high school. Now the time has come when we must move on. We are ready to accept challenges that will come before us. The next time we will see each other, we will be older and hopefully wiser. I leave you with a word of wisdom from Albert Einstein. Try not to become a person of success. Rather, try to become a person of value.
Following a Jefferson tradition, 3 members of the class of 1990 have been chosen to be the principal speakers in tonight's ceremony. All seniors were invited to enter a speech competition, which was judged by a panel of students, faculty members, and parents. Here, with our first commencement speech this evening, is our classmate, Ann Larson, with her original speech entitled, "All the World's a Stage." Following Ann, Chad Myring will present his original speech, Our challenge is to change the world.
Almost everyone has heard this famous Shakespearean quotation at one time or another in our lives. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. I think it applies rather well to the class of 1990 and our years at Bloomington Jefferson. Over these last few months, I've been realizing how much this has been like a stage production. It's had all the makings of a successful one, that's for sure. First of all, we have actors. Some of us had lead roles in this production, like sports teams and state championships, first-year musicians, top 10 scholars, and National Merit Scholarship winners. Many of us had minor roles in this stage production, with a few special occasions to appear in the spotlight, and some of us had chorus roles to provide steady background support. Secondly, we've had stage and prop managers in our administration and office staff. They work behind the scenes to ensure that every act will run smoothly. They prepare the stage and crew for guest star appearances, like our day with Governor Purpich. We've had directors and acting coaches in our teachers who teach us new ways of thinking and feeling that maybe we've never tried before. They help us understand our lines and help us learn to say them in such a way that the full meaning of our words is understood by our audience. They give us our cues to keep our performance moving forward and never standing still. We have a large audience filled with supporters of the arts. They are our parents, siblings, relatives, and friends. They come to support us, to smile, and to applaud our efforts. Our audience is also members of our community. They come to see if all the reviews about us are really true. These last few weeks at Jefferson have been one long curtain call for us. Sports, music, and awards banquets have named their best supporting actors and actresses. They're rolling the credits, the crowd is applauding, and we're taking our final bows to leave the stage. Close the curtain, turn on the lights. But wait, did we live up to our great reviews? Was the performance everything we advertised it to be? I think so. I'd like to think the crowd is shouting for an encore. Better yet, let's think of these last few years in high school as dress rehearsal for our futures. I'd like to think we've been preparing for a grand performance that is yet to come. Let's remember what we've learned and gained from these years of practice. Bring the crowd to their feet and leave them shouting for more. Let's also remember who to thank. Without the backstage crew of administrators, teachers, and role models, we wouldn't be where we are tonight. And without an audience filled with love and support to perform for, we haven't got much of a show. The rehearsal is over. Let's consider this opening night. So, break a leg, class of 1990, and best of luck next year. Thank you.
On June 29, 1972, the United States Supreme Court banned the death penalty as cruel and unusual punishment. That day changed the lives of hundreds of people on death row. On that day, the lives of my parents were also changed, for on that day, I was born. Since that day, the world has experienced constant change. For I have grown and changed, as you have grown and changed, as the world has grown and changed. For the last 13 years of our lives, we have been taught to read, taught to write, taught to speak, and taught to learn, all so that we would be prepared for the future. We have been told that this day will mark the greatest day of our lives. We have been told that tonight will mark the biggest change in our lives. We have all prepared diligently for graduation, and now we are here, ready to face the future. Well, as George Allen used to say, the future is now. Our class is unique because the world has changed faster than our predecessors. Those that have graduated in years past have had time to prepare for. In this respect, the world of tomorrow lies within each and every one of us here tonight. No other graduating class from Jefferson High School has ever seen the world change as fast as we have witnessed during our senior year. The changes that have taken place in Eastern Europe, Asia, Central America, and yes, even here in the United States, are more than anyone would have predicted 1 year ago, as some of us were sitting at this very ceremony as juniors. 1 year ago, the Soviet Union was still considered an enemy by much of the world. However, last summer, 2 of our graduating classmates lived in the Soviet Union for 4 weeks, making connections and changes. This past April, 3 Soviet students attended classes at Jefferson for 3 weeks, talking to many of us, and through our warmth and hospitality, we all had an opportunity to change the way they view Americans. President Gorbachev stopped in Minnesota last weekend, once again proving that the world has changed dramatically. I am proud to know that we were a factor in this change in relations between the United States and the Soviet Union. Governor Perpich first made his State of the State address at Jefferson, focusing on the drug problem. And then he came back to sign into a law, a bill to increase funding for drug awareness and prevention programs. It certainly has been quite a senior year, for we have certainly witnessed some great events and changes. We have all heard that we are the future and that we are the leaders of tomorrow. I can confidently say that in the graduating class of 1990, we have the leaders of tomorrow, and yes, we are the future. With our future now left up to us, we need to be ready to use what we have learned over the last 13 years of our lives to become the great leaders that we undoubtedly have the potential to be. It won't be easy. Nothing in life ever is. But I know that we can do it. In the next 10 years, this class of 432 students will have to face many challenges. This year demonstrates that the world will change faster in the future. Other graduating classes have been told to change with the world, or to accept changes that happen in the world. Not us. Our challenge here tonight, my fellow graduates, is not simple mediocrity. We must not allow ourselves to be satisfied with just sitting by and witnessing change. Rather, we must be prepared to use what we have learned to walk confidently, face into any winds of troubles that the world may throw at us. We must show the world that this Thomas Jefferson class of 1990 is not merely going to let the world change by itself. No, we must be ready and willing to make the changes in the world happen. Thank you.
Now, I am honored to introduce the Minnesota State Champion Orator who won the state competition with his original oration, "Sometimes You've Got to Break the Rules." Later this month, he will be competing in the National Forensic Contest in California. He has tailored his speech to address the class of 1990. Please welcome our classmate, Aaron Holtz.
F.W. Woolworth worked in a dry goods store, and at age 21, his employers would not let him wait on customers because they said, "The boy lacks common sense." Beethoven's music teacher said that as a composer, he is hopeless. Winston Churchill failed the 6th grade, and Walt Disney was fired by a newspaper editor because he had no good ideas. Now the question is, what did these people share in common? And the answer is that they did not allow others' perception of their worth, their ability, or their value become reality. And in that sense, they broke the rules. And in this sense, we, the graduating class of 1990, must also break the rules. Now, I'm not saying that you've got to go out there and be the next Ted Bundy or Charles Manson or Jim Baker. I'm simply saying that you've got to break the rules that restrict your imagination, that limit your mind, and that break your spirit. For instance, Isaac Tiggert broke the rules. He opened a new restaurant in London. It was loud, brassy, exuberant, and very American. Now, everybody told him that it would fail. But on the contrary, it was and is a huge success. We know it as the Hard Rock Cafe. John Johnson was told that a magazine geared for a black audience couldn't make it. We know that magazine as Ebony. Now, both these people broke the rules. They didn't let other people restrict their imagination. Just think of how many restrictions others tried to put on us, or that we try to put on others. Now is the time to break the rules that restrict our imagination. Secondly, we must break the rules that limit our mind. It wasn't until both Ada de Acosta and Amelia Earhart broke the rules that people were actually open to the fact that women could fly airplanes. Marie Curie was slandered as Mr. Curie's tinkering wife until she discovered radium. Now, the same unbiased that should have been applied to these women then should be applied to all of us in everyday situations. For instance, George Halas, former coach of the Chicago Bears, had this slogan posted over his desk: "Always go to bed a winner." Now, Halas knew that the thoughts of the subconscious mind tend to permeate the conscious mind and reproduce themselves as fact. Halas didn't want his players going to bed with losing thoughts. He didn't want his players going to bed with defeatism. He knew that we are who we believe we are. An American businessman was walking through the twisted little streets in Kulong in Hong Kong when he came upon a small tattoo studio. And one of the tattoos read, "Born to Lose." Now, he came up to that tattoo artist and he said, "I can't believe anyone in their right mind would put 'Born to Lose' on their body. How could anyone do that?" The Chinese tattoo artist simply tapped his forehead and replied in broken English, "Before tattoo on body, tattoo in mind." You see, we are what we tattoo on our minds. And the point is, that tattoo could have read "Born to Win." Is there any question what tattoo Einstein or Newton had tattooed on their minds? Ever since the days of Socrates, we have crucified unlimited thinkers. Thinkers such as Galileo. But think of where we'd be without those thinkers. Now is the time to break the rules that limit our mind. Finally, we must break the rules that break our spirit. In 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia, a black family celebrated the birth of a son who is to grow up believing that people should be measured by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Martin Luther King Jr.'s spirit was unquestionable. In 1955 and 56, he led boycotts against public busing in Montgomery, Alabama. Busing that was racially segregated. And although the idea of a nonviolent demonstration may seem physically passive, it was spiritually active. Martin Luther King Jr. went beyond law books, beyond court rulings, beyond prejudice, and in a nonviolent fashion, he broke the rules, as Mahatma Gandhi had in the 1900s, as Joan of Arc did in the 1430s, as Jesus Christ did centuries ago. Today, people such as Mikhail Gorbachev and Lech Walesa are breaking the rules. 27 years in prison couldn't break Nelson Mandela's spirit. Now is the time to break the rules that break our spirit. But that's easier said than done. So what should we do? Well, at the risk of oversimplification, I would offer 3 litmus tests to be tried anytime someone tries to cage our imagination, our mind, or our spirit. The litmus test? 3 questions. Is it true? Who says so? And so what? An American cafe had never been tried in England. A magazine had never been geared for blacks, and women weren't supposed to fly airplanes. Was it true? Of course. Who said so? Everyone. Everyone said so? So what? The earth was flat. Flying machines were impossible, and segregation was the rule of the land. Was it true? Yes. Who said so? Everyone. So what? Because to change a human being is one of the most difficult tasks imaginable. Man is riddled with contradictions. He is shackled with habit patterns. He has resistances, complexities, prejudices. He is the sum total of countless influences playing upon him since infancy. So when we talk about changing him, we know that it will require some force of enormous power to do so. But we must have that power. We owe it to those who have gone before. We owe it to ourselves. And we owe it to those who are yet to come. Because anytime someone tries to restrict our imagination, to limit our mind, or to break our spirit, we, the graduating class of 1990, must break the rules. Thanks.
in the hustle of the day. This opening line for these brief comments to you this beautiful evening also happens to be the opening line to a favorite song of mine. We like to perform it in a singing group to which I once belonged. It's from Try a Little Tenderness, and it speaks to the need to listen to the warm, as poet Rod McEwen might suggest. The song suggests that it's time to set aside the hustle, to enjoy the tenderness. It's time to recognize the butterfly, the smile, the beauty of a friend, or the wonder of fresh-baked bread. In the lines of the lyric, the theme transmitted is that little things mean a lot. I would like to offer to the friends and relatives gathered here tonight that you have before you a group of gatherers of these little things. They have quietly proceeded over the past 3 years to gather and share the little things with classmates, friends, teachers, and this principal. Together, we in the Jefferson community have enjoyed a most enriching experience together. We have merged as folks capable of relating to one another and to our larger community. I suggest that this mutually developed respect for self and for others is the major component of their education at Jefferson. It's the right stuff. Most certainly, as test scores, scholarships, and results testify, at Jefferson, we have spoken to the basics of education as well. Our students are mathematically attuned, reading enriched, and future career oriented. They are equipped to handle basic grammar, metal sculpture, international experiences, and a myriad of academic tasks based upon their evidenced devotion to achievement in homework and cooperation in the total school. They have not shirked their duties in task accomplishment. They have attained, and we are all proud. May I commend to all gathered here this evening the qualities of friendship and achievement exemplified by these 430 graduates. They will move forward to their future with a steadiness and an inner security that represents the finest of educational, social, and personal development. They take with them our appreciation and respect, as well as their own basketful of little things to share with the world. Sincere congratulations to graduates and families. At this time, I take great pleasure in presenting to Ms. Leila Anderson, Superintendent of Schools, and members of the Bloomington School Board, the 1990 graduating class of Thomas Jefferson Senior High School. As the administrator in charge, I certify their completion of graduation standards established by the state of Minnesota and by the School Board of Independent School District 271. May I present the class of 1990.
As Superintendent of Schools, I proudly acknowledge the Jefferson class of 1990. You have been described as an exceptional class, with leadership being shown by caring for others and your commitment to learning. Your yearbook theme, Ahead of Our Times, does describe the class of 1990. I quote from your yearbook, "Time, an essential part of life. Everyone strives to leave their own mark in time, leaving something they will be remembered for. Here at Jefferson, class of 1990, you will be remembered ahead of our time." Class of 1990, I acknowledge that you are ahead of your time in academics. Jefferson had more National Merit Scholars than any other high school in the state of Minnesota. Nine seniors were semifinalists and 7 won the National Merit Scholarships. 17 other seniors were National Merit Commended Scholars. You, the class of 1990, ahead of our times. 75 seniors have won one or more scholarships. You develop New Friends program to help others. The Jeff leaders, over 100 of you in this class, have helped other students. Jefferson has also focused on global education. We have had 10 foreign exchange students spend a year with us at Jefferson. The National Honor Society has helped hundreds of students by giving them help. And class of 1990, I acknowledge given to 5 seniors for their exceptional scholarship, citizenship, dedication, and service. Congratulations, Scott Cole, Stephanie Davenport, Aaron Holtz, Karen Locher, and Lenny Ruskinski, class of 1990. I acknowledge the class of 1990, ahead of our time in community service. You outdid all records in the food service drive and the blood bank. You were ahead of your time in organizations, and I quote from your yearbook, "Variety was the key word in Jaguar style. Where Jaguars spend extra time is a time for excellence." Your Jeff leaders helped in the Big Brother, Big Sister program. You provided positive role models for students at the junior high. The Jefferson Theater Company was brought to new life because of the directors and members of the class of 1990. The debate team won a national award. The marching band, the flag corps, the JJs, and the Jefferson Connection are considered truly the sound of Jefferson. Members of the Jefferson Connection received superior ratings at the region. The concert choir received second-place trophy. You won honors in art, exceeded in the Jefferson mock trial, and in the region finals in speech, 7 went on to state, and 3 medalists in the state speech competition. Class of 1990, you are ahead of your time. You quote in your yearbook, sports, a step ahead, triumph, victory. These words are certainly synonymous with Jefferson athletes. Numerous teams in state tournaments, 6 all-state athletes, faculty ahead of our time. Thanks to the professionalism and the commitment of staff and administration to our students, you've done a great job of helping this class succeed. And as I close in acknowledging you, in your yearbook you say, you have a time capsule. The time capsule for you, the seniors, is an impression of life in 1 year at Thomas Jefferson High School. I acknowledge you, your academic achievement, your participation in student activities, your championships in extracurricular, and your service to others. You will always be remembered, the class of 1990, ahead of our times. And as your song said, fly to the mountaintops and be ahead of our times.
Alexandra Marie Osheim,
Tara Lynn Abramson,
Julie Jane Achter,
M.J. Adelman,
David R. Albrecht,
Mary Heath Elcock,
Carol Jane Anderson,
Eric Delmain Anderson,
Guy H. Anderson,
James David Anderson, Jennifer Joy Anderson,
Kevin Lee Anderson,
Leslie K. Anderson,
Matthew Lynn Anderson,
Renee Jean Anderson,
Stephanie Joy Anderson,
Timothy Paul Anderson,
Ravax Trueba Ariano,
Amy Lou Arthen,
Christopher Walter Ashmore,
Chad Robert Austin,
Aaron Lee Azer,
Matthew Owen Backus,
Serena Bai,
Justin Douglas Vance,
William Elliott Barbado,
Mark Edward Barlow,
Darren Christopher Barr,
Anna Claudia Barreto,
David M. Barron,
Eugene Robert Bassett,
Heather Alicia Bedore,
Nicole Denise Bema,
William Todd Bennett,
Curtis L. Benson,
Gretchen K. Berg,
Christopher Thomas Bernard,
Jacob John Burning,
Gina Maria Birch,
Geberkreuz Zigor Bilbao, Darren A. Bjornson,
Michelle Marie Blanchard,
Jennifer Lee Blessum,
Jessica R. Boyk,
Gregory K. Bolton,
Jeannie Ashley Boyle,
John Carl Briest,
Andrew Ryan Brown,
Sally Ann Bruno,
Sarah Margaret Bruno,
Eric John Bunkholt,
Eric R. Burge,
Jeffrey J. Burke,
Trent Thomas Byers,
Kendra Hope Beiersdorfer,
Stephen Philip Caliguri,
Hung Min Kao,
Brent Glenn Carlson,
Corey Richard Carney,
Christian Topkins Carnois,
Jonathan L. Carter,
David Richard Cicchini,
Paul David Chasko,
Roxy Christine Chess, Tara Sue Shute,
Michael Timothy Clark,
David Allen Clausen,
Scott Jeffrey Cole,
Kristen Lynn Collette,
Kevin J. Connolly,
Brian Patrick Cooney,
Robert Thomas Carell,
Heather Renee Cothern,
Jeffrey Marshall Crafton,
Noel Richard Cronin,
Brian L. Crow,
Michael Richard Crown,
Jeffrey Paul Current,
Mary Beth Dahlberg,
Julianne Dahlman,
Kate Louise Danielson,
Stephanie Davenport,
Jennifer Lynn Deblin,
James J. Dino,
Sarah Elizabeth Durr,
Elodie Deschamps,
Andrea Colette DeVries,
Kira Francesca DeAngelis, Corey Rose Dick,
Scott Jeffrey Dishner,
Z. T. Doe,
Amanda G. Dorsher, Timothy Richard Delaney,
Jeffrey V. Dunbrock,
Ryan Craig Dunley,
Lisa Ann DuPont,
Allison Rachel Dye,
Tim J. Egan,
Brock Anthony Ebley,
Jennifer Lynn Eckerly,
Chris Patrick Edgar,
Mary Christine Eglin,
Christian Michael Elgathan,
Tammy Lynn Ingebretson,
Jason G. Engelke,
Angie Beth Faber,
Pamela Sue Feist,
Michelle Ann Finley,
Michael Christopher Fish,
Jennifer Ann Fisher,
Pia Tanya Fisher,
Larry James Fonder,
Lila Fontaneve,
Tanya Lee Thornshell,
Lynn Marie Frank,
William George Frankie,
Matthew James Franken,
Todd William Frederick,
Nicholas Paul Freeman,
John Mierstead Friel,
Anthony Luigi Gale,
Vicky E. Gantner,
Lisa Faith Garborg,
Ryan Kent Garborg,
Jacob Paul Gardine,
Denise Shane Gardner,
Malik J. Gaskins,
Brian Christopher Goodrow,
Patricia Jean Gertis,
Tracy Lee Germ,
Brian Paul Gillis,
Elizabeth Ann Gillette,
Brian Gary Gilster,
Teresa Ann Giambetti, Amy Elizabeth Godfrey,
Margie Ann Geezer,
Colette Nicole Goodman,
John W. Goodman,
Robin Michelle Goulsby,
Julie Christina Graves,
Susan E. Graves,
Robert John Gray,
Carolyn Marie Gray,
Jennifer Lynn Griffith,
Aaron Christopher Gronert,
Tate Michael Grundison,
Robert Bruce Hashi,
Stephanie Jane Hagan,
Chad Stephen Halverson,
Brett Allen Hamilton,
Marka Jean Handy,
Stephen Tim Hansen, Catherine Susan Hart,
Tellery Jean Hart,
Ryan Patrick Hawley,
Jessica Rose Heikert,
Scott Allen Helmer,
Heather Elizabeth Henry,
Ann Amy Lynn Herberg,
Eric Curtis Jerpy,
Molly Elizabeth Holden,
Aaron James Holtz, Matthew Martin Holtz, Todd Matthew Holtzinger,
Anne Marie Hoppenrath,
Tara Lee Holder,
Daniel Sheridan Howland,
Albert Y. Shee,
Michelle Elizabeth Hughes,
Matthew Brooks Hutchinson,
David Warren Hutner,
Tuyat Katrina N. Wynn,
Patrick David Idstrom,
Anthony Bruce Illies Jr., Brent Richard Irvin,
Nicole Lynn Jacobson,
Leslie Aline Jensen,
Matthew Lawrence Jensen,
Teresa Marie Johansson,
Adam Christopher Johnson,
Eric Allen Johnson,
Joshua Eric Johnson,
Judith Marie Johnson,
Michael Douglas Johnson,
Brian Christopher Jones,
Jennifer Alice Jones,
Julie Susan Jones,
Stephen B. Jones,
Angela Ann Jorgensen,
Stephen Eric Joyce,
Perrin Savi Youngbluth,
Heather Gwen Jurgens,
Tamara Ann Cadillac,
Eric Peter Keitela,
Stacy Leanne Kalina,
Amy Larice Kaminsky,
Peter F. Campen,
Eric John Castle,
Karen Lee Kenzora,
Scott Phil Ketterling,
Anne Marie Kettler,
David Sungil Kim,
Paul William Kingery,
Michael John Kingsley,
Christian Hawks Klemp,
Melissa Susan Kluver,
Colleen Ray Knight,
Ross P. Quaker,
Jeffrey E. Kopish,
Eric John Kozer,
Brian Wayne Coster,
Stephanie Ann Kranz,
Jenny Krantz,
Tracy Lynn Krautbauer,
Sheila Marie Krenke,
Brian D. Krieger,
Christopher John Krolak,
Jennifer Ann Kruger,
Ryan S. Kruger,
Todd Richard Kruger,
Deborah Louise Krug,
Shannon Mary Kummer,
Stephanie Lee Kurtz,
Kevin A. LaFrance,
Christopher John Lambert,
Jason N. Lambert,
Ryan Floyd Langseth,
Nikki Lynn Larson,
Angela Renee Larson,
Anne Marie Larson,
William John Larson,
Lisa Nicole Lofton,
Mark Todd Levere,
Benjamin Paul Lee,
Brett Dwayne Lee,
Larry John Lassard,
Rachel Christine Levy,
Jared Kenneth Lewis,
Derek James Lidbaum,
Nicole Denise Lidbaum,
Erica Renee Lindgren,
Karen Jennifer Loker,
Jessica Kirsten Lowe,
Craig Stratton Lundquist,
Mark Andrew Luoma,
Michael Brian Lynch,
Russell W. McElroy,
Jeffrey Leonard Madison Jr.,
Gina Ruby Mackey,
Nicole Suzanne Malitza,
Jason A. Maltson,
James G. Manders,
John Elliott Marston,
Brandon Michael Mason,
Michael Stewart Mathewson,
Grace Matos,
Hugh B. Morey,
Karen Melissa Maxon,
Albert Joseph McCaffrey,
Michael Todd McDonald,
Jill Margaret McGee,
Dorina Bernice McIntyre,
Melissa Ann McKeon,
William Joseph McNeely,
David Richard McNutt,
Rachel Lynn Meyer,
Kari Lee Meinzer,
Theodore David Murden,
Robert Lee Mertz,
Christine Janice Meyer,
Chad Lee Meyering,
Nicole Marie Michaels,
Christopher M. Malinovich,
Chad Gregory Miller,
Krista Monique Miller,
Mary Patricia Miller,
Sean G. Miller,
Eric Peter Moon,
Michaela Jane Morales,
Lisa Moy,
Shannon Claire Mumford, Paul William Musell,
Matt Craig Myers,
Eugene V. Naftulev,
Tommy Ali Pateri Natri,
Tanya K. Navratil,
John Allen Nelson,
Catherine Claire Nelson,
Trenton R. Nelson,
Jeremy John Newkirk,
Mark Allen Nibelink,
Kirsten Christine Nielsen,
James Thomas Nord II,
Kathleen Jane Nord,
Glenn Leif Nordell,
Shalene Renee Nyberg,
Anna Maria Nyman,
Matthew D. Ogren,
Tammy Lee Okens,
Jenna Lynn Olson, Julie Marie Olson,
Carl I. Olson,
Luke Thomas Olson,
Stephen J. Olson,
Thomas William Olson,
Danalee Lynn Oman,
Karen Arlene Upstead,
Stacy Jean Orfield,
Shavi Cham Orn,
Charles Jason Palmquist,
Michael Andrew Papidis,
Deborah Jean Parr,
Araceli Patino,
Jeffrey Scott Patton,
Jeline M. Pauley,
Stephen Matthew Pauser,
John Patrick Peck,
Thomas Gilman Pelletier,
Mark Stephen Perchinsky,
Matthew Thomas Percival,
Todd Michael Perrine,
Heather Elizabeth Peterson,
Jesse Matthew Peterson,
Linda Kathleen Peterson,
Chad C. Peterson,
Scott David Pedersen,
Jennifer Jean Fallsgraf,
Todd David Pierce,
Christopher L. Please,
Tana Rochelle Plackenpool,
Heidi Crystal Podmers,
Christian Pope,
Brett C. Forthan,
Andrea Marie Posh,
Erica Lynn Pratt,
Dawn Marie Price,
Catherine Grace Prin,
Jason Todd Punton,
Kif Elizabeth Quady,
Karina Lynn Rayleigh,
Stephanie Marie Ramstead,
James Jason Ranheim, Timothy J. Rao,
James Robert Redden,
Chad Allen Reller,
Michael James Reller,
Allison Ann Remick,
Melissa Lee Render,
Christopher David Reynolds,
Rochelle Elaine Reynolds,
Brian S. Rich,
Scott Dean Rich,
Gunter Riedel,
David A. Rindle,
J. A. Roger,
Sarah Emily Roloff,
Frederick William Roos,
David Timothy Rowe,
Brian Christopher Royce,
Leonard Michael Rudzinski,
Daniel Patrick Ryan,
Shauna Lee Sanders,
Sean Andre Santiago,
Jason J. Schauer, Michael
Antone Schemmel,
Chris Donovan Schwitzenberg,
Lane Elizabeth Sedgwick,
Carol E. Shipman,
Monty G. Shives,
Nicholas George Smith,
Linda Akimi Sone,
Christina Soto Ortega,
Christian Robert Spalding,
Laura Zoe Spanis,
Tricia Ann Springer,
Sarah Elizabeth Stahl,
Margaret C. Steinert,
Michael J. Stensland,
Daniel Allen Sterrett,
Mark Michael Stoltman,
Drew Wade Storley,
Carrie Lee Stroup,
Matthew Prescott Stull,
Amy Catherine Sudbeck,
Jung Bin Sue,
Beth Ann Suzanka,
Rebecca Lynn Swanson,
Julie Ann Swenson,
Angela J. Symington,
Amy Anita Sopinski,
Kara Ann Tenney,
Marcus Allen Thayer,
Julie Ann Thu,
Amy J. Thoma,
Tracy Ann Thompson,
Holly Ann Tren,
Laura Jean Tim,
Scott Edward Tomechko,
Dennis Gary Triplett Jr.,
Kimberly Ann Trokey,
Christopher Matthew Tucker,
Michael Justin Vandegard,
Thomas Anthony Vera,
Thomas David Van Ruden,
Michael Richard Wagenman,
Scott H. Walters,
Tanya Lynn Walton,
Jerry Wang,
Eric J. Weber,
Brian Thomas Weingart,
Chad Jerome Wells,
Arthur William Wiggin,
Colleen Marie Wilkinson,
Kelly Marie Willett,
John Dewey Williams,
Joy Cherie Wise,
J. Ronald Witter,
Molly Elizabeth Wold,
Carrie Lynn Wood,
Kelly Lee Woodford,
Kimberly Helene Woodhall,
J. G. Wright,
Patrick James Wyant,
Jason Jeffrey Yeager,
Jonathan Young Yu,
Mary Ann Yu,
Hei Kung Yu,
Eric John Zaccarda,
Rebecca Lee Zettel,
Gretchen Angelica Zettler,
Michael Riley Zaski.